Well, hey there guys, thanks for joining us. Hey, just a little bit ago we made a video talking about scale length and radius and neck shapes and all that about guitars. Well, there's still a whole lot more to talk about. You mean there's more? Yeah, there's more. There's a lot more. But it's all good stuff and it gives you good information when you need to go buy a guitar. Don't go away. Guys, welcome to Rock Hard Riffs. This is the guitar channel for the self-taught, but you probably knew that. Maybe you didn't. Hey guys, if you have been watching our channel and just have not yet subscribed, we really appreciate it if you would. We're trying to grow this channel, and you can help by hitting that subscribe button and click the bell so you know whenever our videos come out. Right on. So what's left in this video? What's left? What are we going to talk about? Well, some stuff that's really important. All of this goes by your hand. It's important by your hand, the feel of your hand. That's why we were speaking about radius, right? That's the curvature of the fretboard this way. Okay, that's radius. There's also neck shape, which is back here. This is where the neck shape is. Scale length is the distance between the nut and the bridge. That's basically what we covered before. What we're going to talk about this time are fret sizes, like jumbo frets, medium jumbo, that sort of thing. Why? Why is there a difference? Also, we're going to talk about fretboard material. Like this fretboard on this Casino is called Pau Ferro, where on this little Les Paul is rosewood, where these fenders are maple. What's the difference? And also wood types, like ash or mahogany or alder, etc. What does all this mean? Does it mean anything? Well, to me, right out the gate, anytime somebody pitches something to me like that, my red flags go up, and I feel like what I'm hearing in my ears are, if there isn't a market, create one. Let me say that one more time. If there isn't a market, create one. So what does that mean? Like baked maple. Is that going to change your tone? Baked maple versus regular maple. What do you think? Somebody's baked. Something is baked. That's for sure. Alright guys, let's zoom in a little bit and let's talk about this stuff. Okay guys, once again we're here at the Epiphone Casino. Now this is Pau Ferro, because they've been having trouble with rosewood, right? Importing and all that fun stuff. They've gone to a different wood. This is called Pau Ferro. I really don't know much about it at all. Other than it feels good, and really that's all that matters to me. It's not too porous. I will never oil this fretboard. That's another thing that we kind of should talk about too. Why do people oil their fretboards? Well, some fretboards, especially Gibsons, can look kind of dry, nasty, brittle, flaky, right? To me, that just says that it hasn't been finished properly. It hasn't been sanded down properly. Maybe it hasn't had a proper finish put on it. I can't say, but it should not be like that. It should be nice and smooth and not porous, just like this Pau Ferro, or just like this maple, as you can even see in the camera there, how shiny that is. Now, somebody once had asked me a ways back, they knew that I was playing with ebony and rosewood fretboards prior, and I had switched to these fenders, and they said, how do you like that maple fretboard? And really the big difference is the radius. It's not the material, it's the radius, not the slickness to me, because you're not supposed to be touching the material under the frets anyway. The fretboard itself, you shouldn't be touching that. You should just be pressing the string down onto the frets just enough to get the string to ring out. You should not be pressing really hard all the way down to the wood. Okay, and that's why you see wear marks and all that on there. And that's why there are different sized frets. And that's why they may say that Epiphones, per se, are for beginners in part because they have medium jumbo frets. Whereas this ESP has jumbo frets. Now, what's the difference? What's the deal? Okay, if you have a lighter touch, and if your calluses are really grown in, you've got really good solid callus space, that makes your touch even lighter. A nice jumbo fret lets you skate right along on top of these frets. You don't have to press down barely at all. That's why you have a jumbo fret. What happens though is people that are like beginners to intermediate, etc., that don't quite have their touch down yet, they squeeze really hard down on these strings and it makes it go out of tune, right? Makes the pitch go out of tune when you press it down because it has such a distance to bend. Whereas, like on a medium jumbo, it goes right down to the fretboard almost when you start pressing it really hard. So again, develop calluses, develop a lighter touch. You may prefer a jumbo fret. Some advanced players prefer jumbo frets for primarily that reason, okay? Ebony, let's talk about woods again. Now this is ebony. I've seen some ebony boards that are really porous and they just don't look like they've been sealed properly to me, or they weren't sanded properly, or they just didn't use the proper piece of wood to put in there, because it should be smooth and not flaky and dry. Now I want you to think about something else, adding oils to your fretboard. I know people like to do that. It makes the wood look nice and healthy and all that fun stuff. I understand. The problem is with wood is what happens when you add moisture to it? It expands. What happens when wood loses moisture? It contracts. Now if that keeps happening, expansion and contraction, after you keep oiling your fretboard, what's that going to do? It's going to loosen your frets potentially. And I'm not saying that's absolutely going to happen, but it definitely has that potential. Your fretboard should be sealed properly enough to where you never have to oil it. Just like the rest of the guitar. Do you oil your guitar? You shouldn't. You don't need to. That's just going to attract dust and gunk and dirt. No, just keep it clean. Use a guitar cleaner, and that's really all you need. Alright, one more thing. Let's talk about woods, body woods. Okay, a lot of Fender people will tell you, oh no, it's got to be ash, it's got to be ash. And the problem is with ash, it is extremely inconsistent weight-wise. Now, why does that matter? Well, that probably means density is the difference between heavy and light ash. So you're probably getting a completely different result with those guitars. And the extremely heavy ash ones, do you want to be hauling those around? I don't. I like alder. It feels good, it's a good weight, and it's very consistent as well. So that's why Fender goes primarily with alder instead of ash. And there you have it, guys. So anything else that we need to cover, again, maple fretboards, Palfaro, rosewood, all this stuff, ebony, what does it matter? You know, to me, it really doesn't, other than the look of the guitar. Doesn't this black ebony fretboard look absolutely sweet with these inlays and the black body? Doesn't that just look way sweet? Yeah, it does. Doesn't that ES335 look pretty nice with that rosewood board there too? It would look good with an ebony as well. It would look kind of goofy with a maple fretboard, wouldn't it? Or anything lighter? Yeah. So a lot of it is just the look. Right? And these Fenders, the maple boards look fantastic like that. And maple is also always a great wood for guitars. I love maple. I used to be a furniture and cabinet maker. It was one of my favorite woods. It's fairly easy to work with, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous wood. And it's fairly consistent in its weight and density as well. And there are all kinds of different types of maple to boot. So guys, hopefully that gives you a little more info. Hopefully that helps you, answers a few other questions, but you want to consider these things and think about it when you're going to buy a guitar. Is somebody selling you on, ooh, this has this ultra sweet whatever fretboard or whatever it might be? It's like, okay, well, really in reality, what makes it so sweet and why does it cost so much more? That really is the question, in my opinion. One other thing we didn't touch on, and that is 22 fret versus 24 fret. Why? Okay, well, the 24 fret is obviously 2 full octaves up on each string, right? 2 full octaves, which is cool, gives you more. Also, the 22 frets, like say a Fender, there's more space between the frets. So if you have a bigger finger, it's easier to fret. Whereas if, like Gibson's, a shorter scale, they're 22 fret, but the frets are closer together because it's a shorter scale length. Right? So these are all things you want to mess with. Don't be overwhelmed by the information. Just kind of think about what we've talked about and in other videos you may have watched, and go to the guitar store and just kind of look and piddle around and fool around and say, oh yeah, I see what they mean. neck shape, radius. Oh yeah. I'm going to take a closer look at that fretboard. Is it all dried out? Is it nasty? Is it smooth? Which is it? Does it look good? Right? All these things that you just want to pay maybe a little more attention to if you weren't already. Is it big deals? Some can be. Neck shape and radius to me make a big difference. The combinations of neck shape and radius I think make a big difference. So you may be preferring Fenders, PRSs, Gibsons, what have you, just by the neck shape in this, right? Plus the sound of it, the weight of it, the feel of it, whatever it is that you're looking for in a guitar. Alright guys, I hope we didn't bore you too much. We certainly thank you for joining us. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next video.